Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something seriously mouthwatering. We are going to explore the culinary science and the absolute genius kitchen techniques behind a truly beloved Thai classic. If you've had it, you know exactly what dish I'm talking about, Moo Manao, the iconic Thai spicy pork salad with lime. But listen, we aren't just going to read out a recipe today. We're actually going to deconstruct the mechanics of what makes this specific dish work so well, using some brilliant techniques pulled straight from expert Thai kitchens. So, think about it. What really makes the absolute perfect Moo Manao? Because let's be honest, we've all had those mediocre homemade versions, right? The ones where the pork is kind of tough, a bit chewy, and just uninspired. But then you contrast that with the melt-in-your-mouth perfection you get from a great Thai restaurant. How on earth do they achieve that incredibly soft texture while packing in so much zesty flavor? Well, the answer actually lies in some very specific, surprisingly scientific preparation methods. To figure this out, we're going to deconstruct the whole thing together. Here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the unique charm of the dish itself. Then, we dive into a massive technique, the fresh milk secret. After that, we'll cover how to prep those icy crisp side veggies, how to balance that fiery dressing, a crucial 60-second blanching rule, and finally, plating it all up for the perfect bite. Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, the sheer charm of Moo Manao. Honestly, the magic of this dish all boils down to a crazy explosion of zesty flavors colliding with some vastly contrasting textures. And that brings us right into Section 2, which is, without a doubt, the most important technique we're talking about today, the fresh milk secret. Look, mastering the meat is the foundational secret here, and it all starts with physical tenderization. If you're just randomly chopping your pork, yeah, that's a massive mistake. Instead, you've got to use a meat mallet, or even just the back of a heavy kitchen knife, to gently pound the pork first. Then, you need to slice it incredibly thin. I mean, literally like 1 millimeter thin. And here's the kicker. You absolutely must slice against the grain. Doing this physically severs those long muscle fibers, ensuring the meat won't be stringy or tough when you chew it. All right, so here is the ultimate kitchen insider secret that happens right after you slice it. You take those paper-thin slices and you completely submerge them in unsweetened fresh milk. Just let it hang out and marinate for a super short window. We're talking maybe 5 to 10 minutes at room temperature. Now, obviously, if you're prepping this ahead of time and need to let it sit longer, make sure you pop that bowl right into the refrigerator. You might be wondering, why milk? Well, it acts as a highly effective chemical tenderization process. The enzymes and the mild acidity in the fresh milk go straight to work on those muscle fibers you just shortened. The result? It basically yields this unbelievably tender, juicy texture that practically bounces back. Plus, and this is huge, the milk completely neutralizes any of those weird, gamey, raw odors that pork can sometimes carry. It leaves the meat tasting super clean and perfectly primed to soak up our aggressive dressing. So, while our pork is happily taking its milk bath, let's jump into Section 3, getting those side vegetables icy and crisp. You've got a couple of classic options here. If you go with cabbage, you'll want to slice it up into incredibly fine, delicate shreds. Or if you use Chinese broccoli, also known as Gailan, focus mainly on those stems. Just peel off the tough outer layer and chop them into bite-sized pieces. But listen, whatever veggie you choose, the absolute non-negotiable step is throwing them right into the refrigerator. We want these things icy cold. That extreme temperature drop is going to give us this mind-blowing contrast to the hot, spicy pork later on. Which brings us nicely to Section 4. It's time to balance the spicy dressing, which is basically the vibrant, fiery heart of this entire dish. Nailing this dressing requires a really precise balance. You're going to start with some palm sugar, dissolving that straight into freshly squeezed lime juice and a good hit of savory fish sauce. You can totally tweak the ratios, but the golden standard is sour, salty, and spicy, with just this tiny trailing hint of sweetness behind it. Then you bring the heat. Toss in loads of garlic, slice some, mince some, and add a really fiery mix of ginda and bird's eye chilies. You can pound them, chop them, blend them, whatever you want, but getting them mixed into that sour liquid base is absolute perfection. Okay, let's head over to the stove for Section 5, the 60-second blanch. This is where the tension really builds. Seriously, all of that careful scientific prep work comes down to this one moment. 30 to 60. That is the impossibly short window of time, literally measured in seconds, that our pork is going to spend in the water. You need to get a pot of water to an intense rolling boil over high heat and just drop those thin pork slices in, milk, marinade, and everything. Now, the rule here is super strict. You have to rapid boil the pork just until it's fully cooked, because, food safety first, pork always needs to be cooked through. But the absolute second it turns opaque, boom, get it out of the heat and drain it instantly. Since we sliced it 1 millimeter thin, this literally takes under a minute. If you leave it in even a few seconds too long, those proteins seize up and you'll completely ruin all that brilliant tenderizing we did. Hello, tough, chewy meat. Nobody wants that. But hey, if you nailed that quick blanch, you are golden. And we're ready for section 6, plating the perfect bite. This part comes together super fast and the aroma is just incredible. First step, while that drained pork is still hot, toss it in a bowl with some extra fresh garlic slices and a massive pour of that fiery lime-heavy dressing. Tossing it while it's warm actually forces the meat to absorb those flavors right away. Second step, you plate that gorgeous warm mixture right next to or even directly on top of those icy, crisp veggies you pull from the fridge. And finally, step 3, just ladle over any remaining dressing and hit it with some fresh mint leaves for a nice herbal pop. What you end up with is literally a culinary masterpiece. By deconstructing it like this, we can totally see the science behind its charm. We chemically and physically engineered this melt-in-your-mouth meat using precise slicing and a fresh milk marinade. We built an incredibly complex, zesty flavor bomb of a sauce. And we used extreme temperature control to give us that icy, crisp vegetable contrast. It's warm, it's freezing, it's spicy, sour, soft, and crunchy, all packed into a single bite. So now that we've totally unpacked the mechanics of Moo Manao together, I really want to leave you with this thought. That fresh milk, chemical tenderization, and the rapid high-heat blanching, those are ridiculously powerful techniques. Armed with these secrets, what other everyday meats or dishes could you completely transform in your own kitchen? Think about it, play around with it, and elevate your own cooking. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you on the next deep dive.